All right, so we're gonna have some questions. Jack's prepared. He's gonna explain a little bit about himself. We're gonna explain a little about ourselves, and then we're gonna start answering questions. So again, absorb it, write down questions, and then as you have questions, we'll have that available to you as well. So anything's game. There is no dumb question. Okay, and except the only rule here I didn't tell Bill is we never mention Jamie Dimon in this meetup. next time. Yeah. And don't make fun of lawyers. Don't worry. All right, Jack, it's all yours, my friend.
So my name is Jack Fernaro. I'm the son of Phil Fernaro. And I just got into the space at the end of 2017, so I haven't been in it that long, but thank you all for being here and not working on your brackets at home. So what I'm looking into studying in college is computer science, and computer science is the base of cryptocurrency. You can seriously go home, copy the code from Bitcoin, and make the next big cryptocurrency. Ask me any specifics, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but that's the base of it. And with that, we'll start asking questions. So just if any of you guys want to answer it, why does crypto have value?
I guess I'll go. You touched on it pretty well. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around how people can just create a token or coin and it has value out of nothing, well, seemingly. But you got to think about how currency and payment systems in the history, they've been two separate things. You have the dollar, you have debit cards. You have the euro, yen, you have PayPal and Stripe. And with Bitcoin, those two things are together. So you have the payment services and the currency together. And the currency itself, the value of that represents the value of the payment system itself. So how much use that service gets, but that's what the actual currency represents. Whatever the ecosystem that token lets you enter or the service.
And I think that's an excellent representation. I also think that crypto has value for several reasons. One, I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, it has value. Why? Because there's scarcity to it. It's something that people desire. So when people desire something, and I always use the example of the Babe Ruth rookie card. Or a beautiful painting by Van Gogh. Why does it have value? Because we say it has value, and because we use and we pay for that value. So that's an interesting part of it. Plus, it's really hard to get involved in getting Bitcoin and understanding it. So the more you understand crypto, the more you'll understand the value of it.
I think crypto is going to have value for a number of reasons. One is, as you guys said, it's it's supply and demand. It's something called the network effect that technicians use. So in other words, the internet 1.0 was you have the internet as the base, and you have all these applications that sit on top of it. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, like all this stuff sits on the internet, and it's the application that makes money, right? Facebook has a market cap of 500 billion, but you can't make money owning the internet unless maybe you owned Comcast or Verizon or something like that. With blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, it inverts that model. It means that the network is more valuable now than the application that sits on top of it. And that's why I think cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, right? In order to launch a smart contract, you have to deposit money into the system. It's called gas. I have to take my Ethereum and send it away like I'm pushing a ship off the pier into the water. And in order for that smart contract to work and live and do its stuff, if I'm going to be sending, if my thermostat is going to send information to Commonwealth Edison, or my refrigerator is going to send an order to Peapod, that takes money, that takes gas, and that's what provides some of the utility value of the cryptocurrencies.
And then continuing on with that, just how do you trade crypto?
Why don't you explain who you are first, and then you can explain
Yeah.
that.
So what got me in this space and what we've been doing these last 6 months is actually creating a centralized and decentralized exchange together. So it's a trading and investing platform called Rhythm that we've been developing. But trading specifically, I think a lot has to do with a lot more fundamentals than traditional markets right now, because coins disappear and overtake each other, within a day. A new technology emerges and wipes off a quarter of the coins because they now have no value. you know, they have no use value because this new technology is, the rapid pace of development is astonishing. So I think research takes precedence in the beginning. You got to research the team, the technology. You have to have a basic understanding of the space and see where these markets fit together. You do your research, you pick out a few of your favorite projects based on whatever attributes you deem valuable, and then you start position slowly and just work around positions. But you can probably speak more about it.
Yeah, how do I trade crypto, was the question? I trade it without my wife's knowledge. She's like, you did what? No, so how do I trade crypto? So unfortunately, I'm a trader. I'm a registered investment advisor. I look at things a certain way that I feel comfortable with. So when people were, pumping and dumping these tokens, what I would do is I would look at Bitcoin like I would like the S&P 500 through Bollinger Bands, right? You're taking this volatility component. So if you look at volatility as, so if you have this horizontal line of risk, you have cash which doesn't move, you have bonds that move, maybe 4% annually, equities have a volatility of 15%, gold might have a volatility of 18 to 25%, real estate maybe somewhere in between there. And then you've got Bitcoin, this whole new animal that has a historical volatility of like 400%. So theoretically, taking market volatility into consideration, whether it's Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies, you have to look at how volatile they are. And Bitcoin can go to 25,000 or it can go to 4,000 and still just be as perfectly normal, standardized distribution like the S&P 500, which is, maybe 80 points, whatever. So I look at cryptocurrency like I look at stocks, and taking into consideration as an options trader, it's volatility. Only then do I believe I think I know if it's overvalued or undervalued. That's just my thing, and that's what makes a market. It's difference of opinion. You might think that Ripple and Pivx and all these cryptocurrencies are the cat's meow. I think they're junk, so I'm not going to buy them, right? But that's what makes a market.
Can you short it?
Not that I'm aware of, no. There's another market protocol that is looking to be able to sell cryptocurrency short. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. Maybe you can answer
Yeah,
that,
there are a
Ellen.
few exchanges
Yeah,
that
there
do
are.
allow.
How does the
Yeah.
how does the CME has futures, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Well, you can short the
You can
Bitcoin
short the
future, right?
futures.
It's one unit, right? It's one coin.
It's the CME, so the options exchange, the CBOE, has a one token contract in the Merck group, which has always embraced the institutional investing group. There are five Bitcoin per contract.
I can give a story about that, though. I had the ticket for my trading, and I told my advisor, I need to expand my limits. She's like, do you want to trade Bitcoin? I said, yeah. Why don't you do the limit? She was asking me about my limits. I said, why don't you do a limit of 100, and why don't you do maximum position in day 20? She's like, do you understand it's $80,000 margin for one line? And I said, no, I didn't.
Okay,
She's like,
200.
Yeah, so I said, well, I'll give you
I'm just
80
moving out
million
of my kid's
tomorrow.
college fund,
I'll give you 80 million tomorrow.
Right. The institutional investors are going to definitely, be attracted to this and all the other cryptocurrencies that are coming down the road. Just a matter of time before the CBOE posts, like the VIX product, volatility. They'll have Bitcoin volatility, and they have gold volatility and oil volatility. You're going to have all these cryptocurrency volatility
I
contracts.
agree with that.
So
I agree.
in terms of,
Will they have options on too?
they will, just they don't have it yet.
So when you mentioned that you trade using Bollinger Bands or whatever your measure is,
Can
Are
you-
you-
can everyone hear?
are you looking at, if you're using Bitcoin as the standard,
Mhm.
let's say, and Pivot as the, let's call it the vulnerable currency that may be made obsolete, or not, no offense to Pivot. It might win, who knows?
Right,
But,
nobody
but,
knows.
but the, because you can't sell it short, how do you trade strength? Do you
I'll tell you
avoid
how I do it
weakness?
is
How
that
do you-
as a miner, okay, so my costs are fixed as a miner. I have my electrical cost and my internet cost and the equipment. So I ask myself is, how do I know when I should sell my cryptocurrency in order to pay my electric bill, right? So for me, I look at volatility and I say, well, we're on the low end of the range. I'm gonna only sell as much cryptocurrency to pay my bill. The rest I'm gonna hold. But when I know that it's way to the upside of this volatility, I say, I am not holding it, I'm gonna sell it every 4 hours, right? And so and you can go back on LinkedIn, you'll see it back in January, right? I didn't delete it or change it. I mean, I'm like, not only is it overbought, it is like 4 times overbought. in terms of, so I mean,
Got
it
it.
was like sold, sell, sell, sell. So
Got
but now
it.
I'm holding, right? Because I think we're on at least fair value, but everybody does different things, right?
Now, when you say you're selling it, and if you don't mind my asking, I'm very new to this. Are you selling Coinbase? What are you selling?
I transfer my tokens from, well, the pool, as I mine, releases my tokens to my address. right?
Gotcha.
And so sometimes I point the address to Coinbase to make it easy. I can sell it when I'm getting a Starbucks.
Got it.
Sometimes when I'm holding, I'll just point the Bitcoin to my cold storage
And you
wallet.
can set it to a quote-unquote dollar amount that you're selling?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, just one piece of advice too, if you hold to pay your electric bill, but also hold to pay your income taxes too.
Yes,
Very good.
yes, absolutely, amen.
Tony?
Hi, Alec, I'm sorry, did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I didn't introduce
No,
myself.
you didn't?
Okay,
With,
sorry.
uh,
I'm Alec.
exchange?
Pardon
You
me?
said you were starting in an exchange?
Yeah, so what we've been
Can you tell us
doing.
a little about?
Yeah, of course. So the last 6 months, we've been developing and just building the network necessary, including the law aspect of it. But a centralized exchange, something like Coinbase, Colonial-X, or Bittrex, Binance, and those are traditional exchanges, right, where they have the central control, they do the market orders,
Sure.
market pairing. But what we're actually doing is building that along with the decentralized exchange, where we actually don't take any assets in. So using smart contracts, which Bill described earlier,
Sure.
we send our assets into the third-party smart contract. You put your assets in the middle. We never touch it. They exchange in a smart contract and sent back to you automatically, whatever the proceeds of the trade is.
I'm interested in what kind of security protocols you're using that's different than Binance, Bittrex, Poloniex, Kraken, Coinbase, and that this plasma cache transparency layer,
Yeah.
which is going to prevent the hacking of these.
Mhm. Yeah.
Are you
we-
implementing any
We're
of
looking
these?
into Plasma Cache. I mean, it's not going to be out for another
Yes.
until May. So once it's on, there's not a lot of testing yet on Plasma Cache, but
No, I was just wondering if you had any new technology.
nothing new from a centralized exchange standpoint.
Okay.
We use interesting. You could take a look, but it's 0x protocol.
Sure.
It's an open
Yeah.
source, facilitates trades and exchange of ERC20 tokens, and that's actually what we're leveraging. We're using their open source smart contracts to facilitate the trades on our exchange.
Okay.
All right, we'll stick to the question. We'll have more time to ask plenty of questions. But my answer to the question is I asked these two guys. So. Next.
So the next question that I have is, do the SEC's approach to ICOs?
I'll start. So I think it's fantastic, actually. And people think I'm strange when I say that, but it's an interesting phenomenon. In Canada, what do? They set the parameters of how to operate in the crypto world, in the ICO world, and investing in crypto. They created the proverbial sandbox to play in. So the SEC watched in 2017 people go crazy, raising ungodly amounts of money for projects that didn't develop. So they saw, they watched, they waited. 2018, wham, the SEC's all in. So Securities Exchange Commission's paying a very, very, they're paying a lot of attention. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, 82 subpoenas went out to all different exchanges, people, lawyers, everybody
Hedge
got,
funds.
huh?
Hedge funds.
Hedge funds, anything you can imagine. But it's right. People, they were left to their own devices and they cheated, and they cheated people. They committed fraud. They did a horrible thing to the crypto world. So what happened now is it's pulled back. So all this stuff is going to go on. The ICOs are going to be very, very popular still because it's a good way to raise money, and it's not that much different than the normal raise for startup companies. We follow that model all the time, but now it's become more complicated, more regulated, and more expensive to do an ICO, which is going to weed out a lot of people, a lot of the fraud. I mean, a couple of the exchange, I still don't know. I mean, I had this. We were on a podcast with Alec the other day. I still don't know what Telegram does, and they've raised $1 billion or
Close to that.
close to $1 billion, and they've got another raise, and they don't have a product yet. At least Rhythm has a product. It's something they're ready for the raise. So that's my opinion. That's my fun day. Heather and I talk about SEC about 8 hours a day. So.
I mean, I don't have a lot to add except just going through the ICO process ourselves, it's 6 months ago, it's a whole different game. I mean, it's just a roller coaster. Watching headlines go up and down, not wondering what's going to happen next, and it's just from my perspective at least.
I've got mixed feelings, okay, and maybe it's because I live and breathe in this overly regulated space. But you know what, the SEC, I mean, does it really, it's more reactive, right? It's after the company was a Ponzi scheme, all right? Did the SEC save Enron, or Bear Stearns, or Merrill Lynch, or everything that happened in 2008, 2009, right? So they were so on top of their game, they were able to, preempt all these losses? No, I mean, I think, look at Snapchat. Snapchat has got like a $1.5 billion, they lose money, yet they can list it on an exchange. Tesla market cap is greater than Ford, and they don't make money. So how is it that it's so fair to the individual investor that you can take a company that deliberately loses money, but because everybody likes it, they can list it on an exchange and you can buy it in your 401k or a pension plan? Or negative interest rate bonds, right? It's mathematically impossible to make money with a negative interest rate bond, yet pension plans own trillions of dollars. This is gonna blow up in our face, and the SEC are at the cutting edge of this. So if anybody from the SEC is here, I'm so sorry, but I just gotta take my piece, all right? I don't think, you know what protects investors is when you do something stupid and you lose money and then you don't do it again. That's what protects investors. I'm never gonna buy another internet stock because I did stupid things back in the day. And so now I watch PE ratios, I watch valuations, I watch all that stuff, but I didn't do it back then because it was easy to make money and I didn't care if I lost it buying, AT&T and Verizon. I mean, I paid like Motorola. I paid like $109. I bought the all-time high of Motorola in like 2001. Why? Because I was an idiot. And so now I was on a trading floor. I didn't know about fundamentals. I was an options trader. I mean, I'm wearing a different hat today. That's what protects people, is you do something dumb and you lose money. And I think that the SEC, while they're right-minded and they mean well, I think they're going to kill the business, just like we see the exchanges are now gone, right? We had this incredibly oppressive compliance and regulation on the trading floor where every little mistake you did, every little thing you did, they would fine you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And now there's no more trading floor left. Why? Because the parasite has attached itself to the host, it sucked all of its blood out, it gave it Lyme's disease, and now it's dead. So the host just picks up and goes to it. Oh my gosh, I have to stop right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I made myself clear?
We're gonna have a couple Italians going at it later on at home. So
I gotta talk with my hands, otherwise I have a speech impediment.
And it's all an excellent point, but the market is very scary now. I see the people that are investing in it, and it's a large amount of unaccredited investors. And I think the market will stabilize because this is not strictly to the United States. It's universal internationally throughout the world. So you're stabilized. You're finding out which countries are playing nice. I mean, Canada's playing nice. South Korea's playing nice. Japan's playing nice. So it's sort of getting into that world. Yeah, we'll talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So why do the accredited investors get all the good stuff, right? Why do you have to have a salary, income of like 350 grand, combined income, a net worth of over $1 million in order to buy pivots, in order to buy a masternode, in order to buy a cryptocurrency? Why can't I just be a guy that works at a pizza place making 35, 40 grand a year, and I feel like buying Bitcoin, or I want to buy an ICO because I think the utility value is awesome? Why should I be prevented from doing that? At least with Snapchat, they're already losing $1 billion a year. I give my money to an ICO, to a development team. It's not like they're losing $1 billion. Yeah, they've got Monster Energy drink and like a Keurig coffee machine, and they've got these guys are getting together. They work remotely out of their basement. I mean, they're trying to keep their costs down, and so they're trying to create stuff that hasn't been created yet. But
that's a great point. So that's what's happened in 2016 Jobs Act.
Right.
They allowed unaccredited investors now to invest. So I would recommend everyone, I'm not an investment advisor, but go and check out WeFund, or go check out Start Engine, which is related to fundraising for ICOs in general. And it's a real cool platform. They got 140 people that can invest. You can invest as little as $100 into the process. So those things, seed invest. So they're trying to bring that, and crypto is allowing it to happen.
And one more thing, and then I'll shut up. Okay. All right. So the SEC wants to declare every ICO a security. Okay, so if you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a photographer, and you can digitally sign and protect your intellectual property, so what do you have to do now? Open up a brokerage account at Fidelity to sell your picture, to sell your song? Is Kim Kardashian gonna open up an account at like Goldman Sachs in order to sell her movie rights or whatever? I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say one last thing, I promise, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a securities advisor.
Neither am I.
I'm
I'm-
not a lawyer.
Don't worry, you won't have to.
You can't play both sides of the coin. We've
So to
talked about,
speak.
we've talked about Ripple, right?
Yes.
And being with banks.
Yes.
And Bitcoin was, why was Bitcoin created,
Yeah?
right?
Right.
All right, now we're talking about the law and the SEC. And then we're talking about, is it a securities or is it a token? So we're going to the DAO,
Yeah, DAO.
right? Is it going to be, right now we're trying to figure out, and I think in Congress they're fighting this issue today. Is a utility token a security? And if so, do we have the protections under such and the laws that are included and taxed and regulated? That is what is going on. So if you're gonna take the fight of, I don't want the SEC, I don't want the government in it, you can't be a proponent of Ripple or RSP.
I totally agree.
Correct?
I totally agree with you.
Okay.
All right, so anybody who buys Ripple that was designed for banks, by banks, for banks,
I mean, you just use it in your presentation, so I was
right?
just-
I mean, I don't think Ripple is an investment. I mean, they can alter the monetary supply from 3 billion to 300 billion overnight. It's a private, inward-facing blockchain specifically for banks. They're going to use it for themselves. I don't personally think it's, and none of these currencies that we've talked about am I recommending for purchase, right? But to me, Bitcoin and blockchain distributed these utility tokens. That's the interesting thing, not what Ripple's doing. That's just me.
Shockingly, I like Ripple, but go
And
ahead.
we'll take this one question from this man back here.
How do you pay taxes on Bitcoin, profit or losses?
So you're asking how taxes are incorporated into cryptocurrencies?
You guys want to answer? Or? Well, none of us are accountants, but I'll chime in just for a second. So what my accountants told me is that, and we have an accountant here. Do you want to speak? Or,
No, go ahead.
All right. So basically, when you sell Bitcoin, your profit. So if I buy Bitcoin for $1 and I sell it for $10, my profit is $9. I have to pay capital gain depending on how long I held it. It'll be short-term capital gain or long-term capital gain. So that's basically the same holds true if you lose money. Mining, if you do mining, that's an event of ordinary income. The other thing that we tried to muster up is that trading one coin for another coin. If I trade, we're using Ripple today, Ripple for Bitcoin, and I trade and I have a profit in my Ripple. When I get the Bitcoin, I have to pay tax on that. It's not a like-kind exchange like on a piece of real estate trading one multifamily residence for another, and I can defer my taxes. Not allowed in the crypto world or according to the IRS. The IRS is paying attention. I like to tell the story that in 2016 it was like 1 million people were on Coinbase. Any idea how many people reported their taxes gains for 2016?
Less than 1%.
Yeah, 862. So anyway, that's my knowledge, again, non-accounting based. Does that answer your question?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Bill, does the,
Well, he was finishing up.
Without a hard copy, all you have is just verbatim what it makes, what it does not make. How do you go to the accountant and tell them, I made so much money or I lost so much money?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what happens is that there's two ways to do it. If you go through Coinbase or Kraken or any of the exchanges, you're going to get a 1099 at the end of the year. They're going to keep track of that for you. But then again, do I trust those? Is the exchange going to still be around when I'm going to pay my taxes? Are they really going to send my 1099? The customer service at those exchanges is outrageously bad. So the chances of me getting a 1099 is pretty slim, although Coinbase I think is doing a pretty good job. But what you have to do is actually you take a snapshot. So the blockchain is such is that if I make a purchase of, let's say, Bitcoin, I've got a snapshot of what I bought it for, when I bought it for how much I bought it for. Then, when I sell it, I can get the same snapshot and I hold on to it. And that's if I do small amounts of trades. But now they've come out with accounting software. I think we were talking about the other. What's the name of it?
I don't remember.
Yeah. So there's an actual ledger system that you can buy. It was like big tax return or something like that. And you plug in what you do, or you connect it to your system. I don't know too much about it. That's why I'm searching for accountants. I think they finally found one. And basically what happens is you go ahead and pull that together, and then you can submit that to the IRS. But absolutely, what if I bought it in 2012 or 2009? I mean, this is the whole concept of tax avoidance that, as Bill so clearly stated, existed before Bitcoin. So it's the same thing. If you're going to be a cheat on your taxes, you're going to be a cheat on your taxes, for crypto as well.
Yeah, cointracking.com helps with that.
Is it cointracking.com?
That's one of them. There's another one. I think that's the one you were talking about. I don't remember the name of it either, but cointracking.com is pretty good as well.
Yeah, so that's what we need. I mean, that's the kind of thing. If you're going to get involved in the space, you're going to actively trade, you need something. It seems something like that, because you don't want to be messing around, with the IRS, for sure.
And we'll take, you had a question?
Yeah,
We'll take
Bill,
one more.
just to Bill. Is this very similar to like what the .com was, and we're entering this new phase, and some of these companies aren't making money and some are?
I think so. I mean, I think back of.
Just to compare it to something.
I think back of the early 2000s when my daughters were in high school, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you got to buy an Apple Shuffle." I'm like, Apple? You got to be kidding me, right? I mean, I was like a Dell man. Apples were like for total geeks. I would never own an Apple computer. Now Apple market valuation is almost $1 trillion market cap. So I think what we'll see is a washing out of a lot of cryptocurrencies. Some of them will go away permanently, like the .com stocks. And then we'll see in the midst of this turmoil, so when Google IPO'd in the early 2000s, who here thought that the world needed another search engine? Right? We had Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, Lycos. So this is what I think, and this is just maybe my romantic idea, is we will have this incredible collapse. It could be the stock market, it could be cryptocurrency market, and out of those ashes, someone's going to launch a cryptocurrency, and that is going to be the mother lode, the cat's meow. That's going to be like the new Bitcoin, but that's just what I think.
Okay, and then with that, we'll move on to the next question. So have institutional investors entered the crypto space yet? No.
I mean, I think it's the regulation that's holding them back right now. They want to get involved. I know one of our partners got a Bloomberg terminal. All of his buddies from the desk is still asking him, well, what about Bitcoin? They don't know anything and they can't get involved yet. And I think a lot of that goes on to regulation. There's just not the framework created yet for them to get involved.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, it'd be exciting if they do get involved. Then that's an interesting world.
They already are. They just bought Poloniex.
Right.
Poloniex was sold.
And it's also a custody issue. Like, these institutions need to know, and the SEC wants to know, if you have $10 billion of assets under management and $1 billion is in cryptocurrency, how are you guarding and safeguarding the custody of those client funds? And I think that that's a lot of the question. Once we solve that, once for now law becomes a cryptocurrency custodian, then off to the races.
Great idea.
Grains and everything.
All right, and then the next question is, do any world events in general, can they affect the crypto price? Price of any given crypto?
That was from our Bitcoin for Beginners last night. That's awesome. Go ahead.
World events affect the price of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? I'd say absolutely yes. We saw right before the election in 2016, Prime Minister Modi from India did something called demonetize the currency, right? So they made all these $100 bills, basically 50s, 20s, illegal, and you had like 10 days to convert them into the new currency. So that left people, millions of poor people, not knowing what to do with all the money, the cash that they had. So now the crony, like his friends, already converted their money into the new currency, right? So what happened was India saw a huge spike in Bitcoin because people needed to get it out of the system in 10 days. We see the Chinese yuan. We see in China, people are trying to get their money out of the country as fast as possible. That affects the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. We see, the other cryptocurrencies being affected by, what's happening in Venezuela or in Africa. So absolutely, what we're going to have is just not local currency. We're going to have a global currency called Bitcoin or something else, and you just plug into it no matter where you are, and that will be, you know, so yes, it'll be more affected by global events, I think, than ever before.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of events globally and here. I mean, it doesn't matter where the event happens, because it's not just the technology development that's fueling the price, because if it was only the technology, I mean, the price should be back up to all-time highs, because the technology advances have been, I mean, everything's been fantastic. And you got a question?
Just like with regular money, when like if there's a natural disaster like hurricanes and oil reserves blown up, and that affects the dollar and whatnot. But that doesn't in turn affect blockchain, does it? Or does it?
Well, the price?
Yes, price. That doesn't make that fluctuate
Well, I mean,
as much as.
I think it depends on how people view these cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, for example, has been, you know, a lot of people like to think of it as a store of value. So it's a flight to something safer. So.
Flight to quality? Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I sort of agree and I sort of disagree. So the main point is when things are directed at Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain, I think that affects a lot of things. I don't know if it necessarily correlates like the stock market correlates with the activity, a natural disaster, a war, etc. I think crypto is sort of independent. I think that's why it's so neat, is because it takes the whole world to be involved in it, so it's more stable in my own mind. So I don't think it necessarily has to be correlated. I haven't seen it correlate yet.
It can be used. There's companies out there, and I'm not going to go, I know you think I'm a physics person, but where you...
How many people think she's a physics person?
we have a certain amount of electricity, and I'm not going to name the crypto, but our excess supply of electricity is owned by the electric company that we've paid for, right? There are digital currency companies out there that will take our extra electricity that we've already bought and paid for, like our water meter, if you live in Chicago or whatever, and sell it to, you know, other companies or areas that need that source, right? If there's a wildfire out in California or Arizona, they need all the resources available. So if we work together on this blockchain and we allow and participate in it and our services, and we're being, you know, also compensated. So we're doing not only helping ourselves, but we're helping everyone. And in terms of not only electricity, sources of power, medical diseases, it covers every area, accounting, every area that, you know, you can take your computer that's running in the storage space that you have, and there's cloud, and you can have that for sale on coins that will pay you to use that empty space that you're not even using, and you're getting paid in their coins.
Yeah, see a coin. Yeah.
There's many of those. There are countries out there where all they have is a cell phone, right? And that we have excess data on we have unlimited. What do we do with that extra data? Usually at the end of the month it goes away. Bingo. There are companies and coins out there that wants that extra data from, hey, give me my, you know, whatever company you're using, provider, and I'll give it to you, and you can sell it on the market in poorly populated countries for pennies on the dollar. And I'm going to get, as an incentive, I'm going to get tokens, which are going to be of value. So not only I'm making a tiny investment, and I'm giving something that I already owned and paid for, and I'm not using, why not give it to someone else where it can be of value, and I'm being compensated instead of Verizon or T-Mobile?
Yeah,
Why
it's
not
all
solve
part
the
of
problems
community.
like that? Other than, you know, is Bitcoin going to be better than Ripple? Is it, you know, blockchain technology should be and can be about making this whole world better than it is right now.
That I agree with you, man, for Sure.
And that's,
Go ahead, Jacko.
Now for a very important question. What was more groundbreaking, the game of Pong or CryptoKitties?
Ah. Everybody know what CryptoKitties is, Art? Anybody not know what CryptoKitties? So CryptoKitties, go ahead. I said this last night, CryptoKitties is a program based on the Ethereum blockchain in which you made cats, and it raised how much, like $3 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone laughed, kind of giggled a little bit, but you got to think about it. Sure, it's kittens for now, right? But the marketplace that created and the infrastructure it created to transfer non-fungible assets on a decentralized marketplace like that, just replace kittens with, deeds to property titles or any other non-fungible asset, and you have a huge marketplace of exchange.
I think Pong.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, so I come from a very blue collar family. We got our first window air conditioner like in 1975. We got our first color TV in like 76. To see Star Trek in color was like, oh my gosh, look at, the colors were amazing. And so what I wanted to do when I was in college is I wanted to be a TV repairman. I was going to fix vacuum tubes. So when we got a Pong game, and I had to connect it to like my antenna screws, the UHF on the back, and set the dial to 3, and I was like so blown away to see this little black and white game. It was awesome. That to me was like the first domino of, Tetris and all the stuff that we saw, centipedes and down the line. So I think CryptoKitties is fun, but in a world of like everybody's got emojis, I don't find it that interesting. But for me, Pong is like, that's definitely it.
Well, so this is going to be very important. I believe that Alec is correct, but I sort of agree finally with Bill.
And we should close on that note.
Anything else?
So last question.
I'm sorry.
What industry or profession most needs the blockchain technology?
I'm into healthcare.
I agree.
I think healthcare is an utter disaster for record keeping. I think it's perfect for the blockchain.
I agree.
We're past 7:30, but any other questions?